Kind of crazy to think that we're only 8 days away from the digital release of the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and news is still being shared. Stuff that we hadn't seen before as of this morning. Yo, what's up? It's your boy Dynasty. I'm excited to share with you guys some more updates in regards to the collection this morning. Digital Clips actually gave us a first look, I want to say, at the Fatality trainer. In real time, Nightwolf trying to perform a fatality on Shiva. Looks pretty cool to see how, if you're not in the proper distance, you have a red box, proper distance, green box, also confirmation on the left side. This is for all finishers, not just fatalities. And speaking of fatalities, got for you guys an update on stage fatalities appearing on the on-screen move list. Also, Stephen Frost did address crossplay concerns. Also, kind of sort of a small update on combat codes. You know, a couple of days ago, combat codes being teased as something we can now do super duper easy. Also, another mention of both Meat and Reptile being a toggle setting. Some acknowledgement of Mortal Kombat 4 Road Tour build that had noob Cybots. Upscaling the other games like Mortal Kombat 4 got upscaled. The answer we got to that one's probably going to surprise you because, well, they've already been upscaled. So, that's everything on the agenda for today. In case you missed it, yesterday we dropped not one, but two videos. One, because Mortal Kombat 2, the movie, has an all-new release date. Yeah, and the reason for that is probably because of video number 2. WB's up for sale, including their IPs, studios, everything for the right price, which means Mortal Kombat's for sale. So if you want to go watch that, I'll have cards on the screen. Go support your boy if you can. Drop a like on the video. Hit the hype button. And with that said, let's unpack everything of note from today, last night, courtesy of Digital Eclipse and Stephen Frost from Digital Eclipse. Again, the big news from today was this right here. They came out and said, Digital Eclipse has added a new Fatality Trainer mode so players can master the input and timing of every finishing move with on-screen feedback and immediate looping to try again. And attached to that are the images we showcased previously. Again, seems like the first one is a fail. Second one being proper. He's just a few more steps to be essentially like sweep distance. So yeah, man, essentially what they did was bring the modern day Fatality Trainer you'd get in a MK1 or what have you. They created that for the classics. We've known about that for a while, but I believe it's like the first time we've actually seen what this is going to look like in real time as we're doing this. So shout out to Nightwolf, shout out to Shiva, it looks cool. I like how, again, this is for all finishers, not just fatalities. You can do everything possible. So there you go. It took us 8 days before launch, but there is your first look at the Fatality Trainer in the Legacy Collection. Now, Steven came out and said, even after all these years, jumping into these games and being able to just quickly perform all the different finishers and watch them is pure fun. I expect a lot of folks are going to be trying out this mode immediately after getting this collection, and I agree. For a lot of people, when they think of Mortal Kombat, they think of fatalities. I'm sorry, but that's just how some people think. They hear Mortal Kombat, they think, oh yeah, crazy finishers. And thankfully, all that stuff is being preserved and can be showcased with ease. Now, next up right here, we have James coming out and saying, nice. What about a combo practice system similar to combo practice in newer MK games? And again, to reiterate, in case you aren't aware, Steven comes out and says we have a practice mode that should help out with that. Now, in regards to stage fatality inputs, Devin's asking about that. He says, in both this mode, aka the Fatality Trainer mode, and with the on-screen move list, stage fatalities commands are shown on relevant levels. So, we're not going to be wasting any screen space. If you have that toggled on and there is a stage fatality option, booyah! Just like we saw a few days ago, the first time ever, the on-screen move list, how it actually reacts to where your player is. You know, are you on the left side, the right side? Where are you facing? That'll be the exact same thing for stage fatals. So just like everything else, special moves, you name it, stage fatalities, done with ease. And again, speaking of things being done with ease, to kind of go back and talk about the combat codes, Steven said, no more secrets. You'll no longer have to remember or look up any of those useful combat codes again. We made it super easy and a bit cool to use them in the collections versus mode. People are gonna love it. Now, sadly, this hasn't been showcased in its entirety, so safe to say it'll probably be like a toggle option. We just have all those modifiers for, I'm going to call it custom combat for the sake of all these custom combat codes just toggled, right? As a modifier option in the menu. That would be the easiest way to do it. Just have everything there, on or off. That'd be sick. That'd be easy. You know what apparently is not easy? Getting crossplay in this damn collection. So, right here, you know, when asked about crossplay, Steven says, crossplay is a huge thing, so we will need to investigate what we can do in that department after launch. For right now, though, we did confirm the game does support cross-console generation matchmaking, so PS4 versus PS5, Switch versus Switch 2, Xbox One versus Xbox Series, etc. So, again, we talked about that like 2-3 weeks ago, but right here we could see this. This is it. Crossplay is a huge thing, so we will need to investigate what we can do in that department after launch, guys. There is going to be no surprise announcement before launch saying we figured it out. It's not going to be like UMK3 WaveNet. There is going to be no crossplay until after launch. And again, we need to investigate. That just makes it sound like this hasn't even been touched. And I could sit here for 8 minutes and make a whole video about this, but instead, I'm going to look at the good angel on my shoulder and just keep it moving. So yeah, deal with that information as you will. Now, I did mention noobs, I bots earlier. We're going to get to that. Before we do, I gotta, again, reiterate some of this information in case you missed these uploads over the last 3 weeks or so. They were asking about Meat and Noob Cybots. Steven says, Meat is available in the arcade version of Mortal Kombat 4 and can be used via a simple toggle in the game options. That was actually showcased at this point, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'll have a card up there somewhere. Go see that. But under this reply, we have, will Reptile be a playable character in the arcade version of the OG Mortal Kombat? And Steven says, yes, you can play against Reptile anytime you want via the game's option screen. So, I don't think you get to actually use Reptile. You could play against them with these. And again, to kind of piggyback off of this, this idea of not changing things too much. Right here, Dr. Light says, any chance of adding MK1's Palace Gate stage to Trilogy? And in response to this, we get Steven saying, as preservationists, we like to keep these games as accurate and intact as possible and only try to change things based upon legal issues, original dev team intention, or if there are serious problems like crashes. We would not add a new background just to add a new background, so just keep that in mind. Don't expect a bunch of crazy stuff. Just the other day, we got Goro confirmed for the Mortal Kombat handheld port, which I didn't even know was a thing. But again, that was like a secret option even back in the day. You know what I mean? So, I'm sorry, Reptile fans out there. At least you can play against them, but from all accounts, that's all we have. Now, Noob Cybot time, because I've been talking about Noob for minutes. So right here, we have James saying, Noob Cybot didn't make it into Revision 3 in the final production Mortal Kombat 4, from my understanding. And Steven says, yeah, Noob is not in the arcade version Mortal Kombat 4 we're including, and only really showed up in the home port. To that, James says, how funny, because I thought he was in Revision 1 and 2 of MK4 Arcade, but then they decided to remove him in the final version, which was Revision 3. And Steven says, if I recall, Noob was in the Road Tour version of the game, but we weren't able to track that version down, unfortunately. So if anyone's out there watching this has the Road Tour version of Mortal Kombat 4, send it to Steven in Digital Eclipse, because who knows, maybe DLC in the future, we can get that build of Mortal Kombat 4, just like we got WaveNet, maybe. Just saying, door's not closed completely, they just couldn't track it down. So that's why I'm bringing this up. Who knows who's watching this? If anyone can help, that would be nice, because we're not getting gold, so I'll take what I can get if it's possible. Now, right here is in regards to a color editor. Now, in response to a color editor, Steven says, sorry, no plans for a color editor. There are other priorities you want to tackle, and a color editor is just out of scope for this project. And to kind of just round all of this up one last time, going back to the OG post that Steven had in regards to the Fatality trainer being revealed for the first time ever. You can see here he's being asked about any way to upscale option 4X to the other MK titles. It needs it because I would like to set all of them to 4X, just like, again, a couple weeks ago we saw for Mortal Kombat 4, and funny enough, Steven goes, technically, all the games are scaled up already since modern TVs and monitors run at higher resolutions. If we ran these games at native resolution, it would only be a box in the middle of the screen. So, essentially, we kind of already have upscaled builds of these games, which is why they look so damn pixelated if you're not running a proper CRT filter. See how I kind of ironed this all out near the end? But woo! There you go, guys. That's all I got for y'all today. Nice first look at the Fatality trainer. Stage fatalities do appear on your move list. Crossplay is gonna be addressed, maybe, after launch. Combat codes, easier than ever. Meat and Reptile are toggle options to either play as Meat or go up against Reptile. MK4 Rotor version was not found or discovered. And again, upscaling the other games are already a thing that's happened. It's what we're buying. But hopefully there's something in this 12-minute video of use. If there is, and you enjoyed it, do me a solid. It takes you a second. Please drop a like on the video. Again, we're 8 days away from the digital release of this game. They were also saying they were going to talk about online options closer to launch. Guys, we're about to approach 7 days. At what point do we get any type of news about online stuff? I don't want to come off like that, but again, like, they did say closer to launch back in, like, September. It's the end of October almost. I want to see the bonus content like the Crypt, the Chronicles of the Realms. It really does seem like we're probably just going to get one tweet a day giving us screenshots of features, and then probably a launch trailer. I was hoping we'd have at least 2 more trailers than the tank guys, but at this point, I don't think we are. I think just 1 more. So anyways, that's all I got for y'all today. Again, thank you for clicking on this. Thank you for supporting your boy. I love you guys. Let me hear your thoughts on all this stuff, please, down below. I read all these comments. See you guys in the next video. Peace.